Coming to you from a studio somewhere out there. It's Enough Already Radio with Fingers Malloy and Tracy L. Connors.
Good morning and welcome to Enough Already. I'm Fingers Malloy. Tracy L. Connors is with me. Tracy, CNN, what a mess. And it's not getting any better.
No, just keeps getting worse.
They keep digging that hole. And it keeps getting deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And to me, what I find comical about the whole thing is we keep hearing how thin-skinned Trump is. And I have to agree, Trump is pretty thin-skinned.
Mm-hmm.
But holy cow. Compare Trump to the mainstream media, and there's no contest over who's more thin-skinned. Well, right off the bat, we should begin with, and I know it's kind of old news, this GIF. GIF? What do they call it? GIF? GIF. Now, for those of you out there in radio land who are listening on Wham 1600 AM and don't get on your computer, it's a little video. What, 6 seconds long usually? These GIFs?
Yes, they're pretty short.
And
but this one's actually 30 seconds. So.
Oh, it's 30 seconds long?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. Someone took a clip of Donald Trump when he was part of the WWE. They had a storyline for the World Wrestling, World Wrestling Entertainment. That's what they call it now. Was the WWF for a long time. World Wrestling Federation, Vince McMahon. Donald Trump was apparently battling Vince McMahon. It was the battle of the billionaires. I guess that was the storyline. I don't know. I haven't watched wrestling since I was a kid. And apparently, one night, Donald Trump came out and tackled Vince McMahon and started punching him. Well, someone who was good with computers put the CNN logo over Vince's head. So in the video, it looks like Donald Trump is tackling CNN and punching the hell out of CNN. Someone puts this together. It gets into Donald Trump's hands. Did he tweet it out or did he retweet it, Tracy?
He tweeted it out.
Somehow, the president of the United States gets his hands on this video and he tweets it out. Now, I don't know about you, Tracy, but when I saw it, I chuckled.
I had the same reaction.
Did it incite any violent tendencies in you, Tracy?
No, because here's the thing about WWE, WWF. It's all fake.
Right. Well, I'm told that this video could incite violence.
Okay.
Made me laugh.
Yes. Because also of note is nobody is walking around with a giant logo for a head. So I don't know who would be the target of this violence.
Maybe Mike Tyson. Is that a logo on the side of his face?
Sure. Monster Energy or something.
It should be.
Mm-hmm.
Someone should look at that tattoo and immediately make it their corporate logo.
What's the big deal? Millions of people have tattoos on their faces.
Right.
That's what he said at that press conference.
It's a really good move for a boxer.
Sure.
But anyway, back to CNN. So CNN freaks out. And, of course, you have the talking heads. They have to have panel after panel discussions of this hour after hour. I guess that it's probably a welcome change for the folks over at CNN to not talk about Russia for a few hours. Or now we're talking a few days. Well, you have the story, Tracy, where CNN really does the unthinkable. They track down the chap who came up with this GIF. Keep wanting to call it GIF.
I think both are. Well, GIF is actually correct, but everybody pronounces it GIF.
Oh. Okay, so where do you want to begin, Tracy?
Well, Andrew Kaczynski, who used to be of BuzzFeed, spent some serious time trying to figure out the origins of this GIF. And he thinks he found the originator, some poor schlub on Reddit, who goes by a name that we cannot say on the radio. And then that gentleman is contacted by CNN, I believe, because he's also, and I have yet to see these, I don't know if you have, apparently in his illustrious internet message board posting career, this gentleman has also posted things that are anti-Semitic and potentially racist. I haven't seen examples. Have you?
No, I have not. And I would think part of blackmailing this cat would be to show these racist, anti-Semitic messages that he has posted on Reddit. I haven't seen anything.
Mm-mm.
I mean, not just from CNN. I mean, nothing from Vox or Huffington Post. Nothing.
Mm-mm.
Don't you find that odd?
Well, that's what I find it to be BS. Because I want to see what they're saying. I need to see it.
Yes.
Show it to me. Because if it's Pepe, you're toast. I know, even though, what was it, the ADL came out and said that Pepe is, in fact, an anti-Semitic symbol. So they've broadened the definition of this so far that it could really be something innocuous, but I would like to see it.
But this Andrew, what's his name? Andrew...
I think it's Kaczynski.
Kaczynski? Yeah. Who would have thought that going from BuzzFeed to CNN would be a demotion in your career?
Yeah, BuzzFeed has more credibility, I guess, these days.
Right. So they tracked this cat down.
Mm-hmm. And then they decided not to identify him because this guy was forced into making a long-winded apology. And as long as he doesn't violate what CNN considers to be uncouth internet behavior, they will not out him.
And that was part of the statement that made everyone freak out.
Yes.
Was they released this statement, and they say in it that we aren't going to release his identity because he's a private citizen and he apologized. But they reserve the right to release his identity if his ugly behavior online changes after the apology. And apparently if he goes ahead and repeats such ugly behavior, according to CNN, who now is the arbiter of what is ugly behavior on the internet and what is not ugly behavior on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know who granted them that position.
Oh, I think they just took it upon themselves.
That's nice. So that's what made everyone freak out. That last sentence, we reserve the right to identify this cat at a later date if his behavior on the internet changes. I'm paraphrasing. I don't have the exact statement in front of me. It doesn't get any more thin-skinned than that. And then this Andrew Kaczynski has the gall to say, well, listen, I just talked to the guy. He didn't feel threatened at all. He did this all on his own. Okay. They Joe the Plumbered him.
Yes.
Is what they did.
Well, and as I believe it was Ben Shapiro pointed out over at the Daily Wire, in the BuzzFeed actually did some digging on this as well. Mm-hmm. And they reported that the video posted, the GIF posted by this poor Reddit user, is not the same as the one posted by Trump.
So they may have outed the wrong cat.
Yes. They said the original one posted by Mr. Han Solo, leaving out the middle part, was shorter and had a different aspect ratio, and had the WWE in the corner. So, and then it goes on to say, not even the colors are processed in the same manner.
So now this is the Zapruder film.
Mm-hmm.
We're breaking it down frame by frame.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's possible that they got the idea to make a cleaner version in better aspect ratio.
Right.
And went ahead and did that. It's not, I mean, this is not serious editing skills required to just slap that logo on there and then have it track with McMahon's body, but who cares? Honestly, they can't talk about the fact that they're so ridiculous that the president of the United States would feel like it's okay to put out a video of him body slapping them. They have to go after the person that created the thing that inspired all of this to begin with.
I really don't know what they're thinking over there. I mean, what is the thought process? Do they think that if they do this, if they make an example out of poor Han Solo, that will serve as a warning to people out there not to do this to CNN? I mean, because all that does is invite all the internet trolls to come up with different GIFs for CNN.
Yep. And they have been doing that since the story broke. So I don't know how many different variations you've seen, but I've seen CNN get blown up. I've seen CNN as let me think.
Karate Kid.
Yep.
I've seen and I don't know what scenes these are for these, the different films, but there's one where CNN is skating on a hockey rink, and then Donald Trump, the hockey player, comes and body checks him.
Nice. I saw CNN as Charlie Brown and Trump as Lucy. I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And they've invited this in because if you're going to overreact, you've just opened the door to the trolls. And I mean, Brian Stelter was almost in tears over this, in hysterics. And it's really hard for me to tell if they honestly believe the stuff that they're saying, if they think that their lives are in danger. And I'm leaning towards they really do.
Some of this crap is unnecessary. I saw a piece by Betsy Rothstein at the Daily Caller saying that someone has released information on CNN employees, their personal information, where they live. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's taking it too far. I know that they think that that's a good thing, but we got to fight these people. But they ended up they didn't release the information, even though at some point I have to believe that HuffPo or Vox or someone, Daily Kos, will figure out who it is and release that person's information. I would think. Don't you think it's going to happen at some point? Even though, there are people. Vox came out and there was a piece, I believe, by
Chris Klein.
Was it Ezra Klein?
Ezra Klein. Yeah, I'm confusing him with Chris Hayes because they look alike to me.
Ezra Klein even came out anti-CNN for doing what they did with poor Han Solo.
Well, it's just absurd. Why are we going after somebody that made a little video on the internet? I mean, it's almost like the poor guy that made the video that they blamed Benghazi on.
But this is what they do. I mean, when Joe the Plumber went up and asked Barack Obama the question about taxes, we had to know all about Joe the Plumber's life. Mm-hmm. And we pretty much did within 24 hours. Mm-hmm. And now you see this with this poor Han Solo on the CNN GIF. Now, you know much more about Reddit than I do. For those that don't know anything about Reddit, what is Reddit?
Well, it's really a hideous site, number one. So if you go there, don't be surprised that it looks like complete trash. And you'll think, am I in the 90s again?
Oh, I thought you meant the content was hideous.
No, just the layout of the site is hideous. And it's got these things called subreddits, which are just categories. Think of them as verticals. And there are hundreds of them, if not thousands.
Is it like a message board?
Yes, but you're linking to an article normally, or you're putting up original content. Like there are image ones and video ones, or you can say like, I made this. And obviously you want to be catchier with your titling than I made this. Look at it. But a lot of, there is a very largely trafficked subreddit called The Donald, where a lot of the troll army for Trump hangs out. And I don't know that this originated there or not. And I don't even know how you would go about finding this. I know you can do a reverse Google image search. So if you find a photograph on the internet, you can drag it and drop it, and Google will tell you where else it appears. This is really useful if you're looking at Craigslist stuff. As I found, when you're looking for anything there and you see this wonderful thing and it seems to be incredibly underpriced, drag the picture off and drag it back into a Google image search, and sure enough, you'll find that it's from somewhere else. So I don't understand entirely how Kaczynski was able to track this down and find it and whatever. But I don't believe he revealed which message board it was on, or subreddit, excuse me. But that's it. It's a pretty basic site. And a lot of the lefty news people troll it for stories to write about.
Well, another interesting facet of this story is you have Ted Cruz out there asking whether CNN broke the law. Something to do with using their relationship with Time Warner Cable to find out this person's ISP address or IP address or...
IP address.
IP, not ISP. IP address. Do we honestly believe that even if CNN broke the law, anything would happen?
No, but is this we're putting the fear of God in you guys? I mean, you have to think that there's an adult somewhere in that building over at CNN.
But I have to believe that adult, just from the behavior we've seen out of CNN for years, and now what you're seeing with these James O'Keefe videos that are coming out, chances are, if there is an adult in the room, they're still going to say, oh, that's just Ted Cruz.
Well, I mean, overall, in general, the way that they've chosen to report on this, that there's nobody there that says, guys, we're looking really, really ridiculous. I mean, it's like that clip of Brian Stelter. I think, do you have that? Or he sounds like he's almost on the verge of tears.
It's a longer clip, but we can play it.
Just a little bit of it, so you can get a sense of how upset he is.
Look at this video from his Twitter account this morning. This is a WWE WrestleMania video from years ago when Trump used to show up at WWE events. You can see that the CNN logo has been superimposed onto the other fighter's face. Now, this showed up on a Reddit message board days ago. Now it's showing up on the President of the United States' own Twitter feed. The early reactions in the last 90 minutes have ranged from, this is juvenile, ridiculous, idiotic. Oh, wait, no, it's just funny. He's just having fun. Oh, wait, no, it's actually scary, dangerous. We've heard a wide range of reactions to this, and we have a panel standing by. But first...
Hold on. It's scary. It's scary!
Yeah.
How does this dude leave the house? Does he leave in bubble wrap?
I think he does. He hasn't left the studio in months, Fingers. He's gone all Howard Hughes.
I was gonna
urinating
say.
Into jars.
He'll check his fingernails. I'd say check his hair, too, but he's bald.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
CNN's response, the strongest statement I've seen from CNN or any news outlet this year in response to the president's attacks. Quote, it is a sad day when the president of the United States encourages violence against reporters. Clearly, Sarah Huckabee Sanders lied when she said the president had never done so. Instead of preparing for his overseas trip, his first meeting with Vladimir Putin, dealing with North Korea, and working on his health care bill, he is instead involved in juvenile behavior far below the dignity of his office. The statement from CNN ends by saying, we will keep doing our jobs. He should start doing his.
Maybe I have to ask, what is presidential behavior anymore?
There's no such thing. It's whatever the president does by definition is presidential behavior.
I mean, granted, I would prefer that he didn't do stuff like this, but to freak out over this is ridiculous. I mean, what should he do that's considered presidential to this little weasel? Should he treat an intern like a human humidor? Mm-hmm. That's okay?
Yes.
But being a Twitter troll, that's too much for him?
Well, and also they behave as if it takes more than, 15, 30 seconds to compose a tweet?
Well, in Washington, it does take more than 30 seconds normally.
Yes.
I mean,
well, it's got to
Hillary
run through a whole bunch of staffers.
Yeah, a Hillary Clinton tweet during the campaign has to go by 30 people before it's sent out.
Yeah. No. I imagine that somebody on his staff saw the Han Solo version and was like, ooh, we could do this up a little better, and spent maybe 15, 20 minutes editing that and then sent it to him. And that's the end of it. And he went, okay, hashtag, what did he say? Fraud News CNN.
By the way, I'm looking at Brian Stelter on CNN here versus his profile pic on Twitter.
Yes.
He looks like he looks like a bald 15-year-old on Twitter. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't look 15 in real life on CNN.
No.
Just throwing that out
he's
there.
aging rapidly because he's living in constant fear.
Ridiculous.
But it's just so funny.
I have to think, when I see this, of these people freaking out about their safety and how now it's dangerous to be a CNN reporter or producer. And I think, suck it up, Buttercup. Mm-hmm. For years, Ann Coulter has had to walk around with personal security because of the way that she's been painted by the left.
Yeah, and how many people just this year alone from the right have been attacked?
Right. I
mean, remember Berkeley on fire? Just because Milo was in the vicinity? Nothing even approaching that has happened to anybody in the media.
Oh, but he had it coming, Tracy.
Of course he did. And Lauren Southern deserves to be doused with urine 2 times. Gavin McInnes deserves to be maced in the face. And Robert Spencer deserves to be poisoned.
I mean, the amount of hate that you see spewed toward people like Michelle Malkin and Coulter.
Mm-hmm.
It's so easy to be a leftist in the media. It really is. You can say whatever you want. Everyone in the media, for the most part, will stand behind what you have to say. And then, God forbid, something happens where you get a little bit of blowback. And it's just dangerous rhetoric. It's, oh, this is unthinkable. Oh, really? It's unthinkable? Talk to some of your media peeps on the right and see what they have to deal with on a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly basis, and then get back to me. Poor Brian.
He's very scared.
I mean, honestly, Ann Coulter has to be sitting back and laughing at this reaction.
Oh, absolutely. Well, we all are, aren't we? I mean, we've seen this for years. We know the flip side of it that we just went through with the violent lefties. You and I have witnessed some of that firsthand.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden we're supposed to feel bad for Brian Stelter. Give me a break, dude. You know he's got security.
You know, I don't do this every day. This is a part-time gig for me. But there have been times where I've been confronted by lefties where everything could have gone violent. I was at an event 5 years ago in Denver. Minding my own business, I was on Radio Row broadcasting at a hotel when Occupy Wall Street, or Occupy Denver in this case, decided that they were going to storm our hotel. And they took over Radio Row. One guy got arrested for spitting in a cop's face. There was an event in Michigan when the right to work debate happened. We have friends in Michigan. I had family at that event in an Americans for Prosperity tent. And leftists kept coming up to the tent saying, we're going to kill you. You're going to die. That tent's coming down. And eventually, they cut the tent down. There were women and children in that tent. Poor Brian. I'm sorry that a little GIF was created making fun of CNN. I mean, seriously. Give me a break. Speaking of breaks, we need to take one. Ash Scow from the New York Observer will join us. Stay tuned. More of Enough Already right after this.
Hey, you're on Twitter. I saw that tweet, man. So is Fingers and Tracy, too. Follow us. Follow Fingers at Fingers Malloy. Follow Tracy at Tracy L. Connors. And me, I don't have a handle on Twitter. Oh, all right. Well, follow those guys. When do I get I'm just the announcer guy. Yeah. It's Enough Already Radio with Fingers Malloy and Tracy L. Connors. The best place for news, fake news, commentary, and fake commentary is EnoughAlready.us. Enough Already Radio is on Facebook. Check out the fan page, facebook.com/EnoughAlreadyPodcast. Coming to you from a studio somewhere out there, it's Enough Already Radio with Fingers Malloy and Tracy L. Connors.
And welcome back to Enough Already. Remember, you can find everything Enough Already at our website, Tracy Connors.
True, enoughalready.us.
That's where you can find the podcast for The Wham Show. Also, we do another podcast during the week, the explicit version. We get to swear, Tracy.
It's good times.
It is good times. Speaking of good times, our good friend Ash Scow from the New York Observer, Real Clear Politics, joins us on the Enough Already hotline. Hi, Ash.
Hi.
Reddit expert, Ash Scow. We talked a little bit about Reddit before you came on the air here. It's a vile, disgusting place, isn't it?
No, absolutely not. I love Reddit.
You do?
I really do. I mean, it's actually a good source of information. And, if you don't want to go to Drudge Report, like Reddit does kind of show you what people are caring about for that day in a similar fashion. There's also just so much funny stuff on that site.
So do you post your content on Reddit with your real name, or do you go by like Han Solo?
No, I have a Reddit username that I used. I never used my real name, but I haven't posted in years. I'm a lurker. Is what they call somebody who only looks but doesn't post.
You don't go by Fingers Malloy on Reddit, do you?
Oh, of course.
Figures. Now, you both know Reddit, and what's the difference between 4chan and Reddit? What are they similar?
I mean, not really. I mean, like, in a way, there's a bit of some overlap in, like, some of the crowd, just because, I think the number one demographic is going to be, like, high school boys, but I mean, they serve different purposes, and 4chan's more of like a message board, whereas Reddit has sections like that, but then there's also places to like ask questions of people. Celebrities do interviews on Reddit. You post pictures, you post, like there's more on Reddit. Well, I also can't figure out how to navigate 4chan. I've never been able to figure it out.
Well, you're not the type of person. You're not a victim. You don't. You're a strong, confident woman on the right. You have to look at the reaction of people like Brian Stelter to this GIF and have to think, my God, if you could just walk in someone's shoes on the right, who gets threatened on a regular basis. Can you tell us a little bit about the crap you have to deal with from people on the internet because you just happen to be a woman on the right putting your opinions out there?
I don't get as much hate as people assume I do, which a lot of times leads me to believe that a lot of the people that claim they get so much hate don't really get as much as they claim.
Yeah.
But when I do get hate, like, it's very rare that somebody tells me to kill myself or that I deserve to be raped for the things that I write about. I mean, the worst thing I ever got was like a week or so after my horses died last year, and somebody told me that they deserved to die because of the things that I write about, because I'm such a terrible person for writing about campus due process, Mm-hmm. That was like the only time that I actually ever hurt based on what somebody said. But other than that, you usually just laugh it off and you're like, this isn't a real threat. I mean, I think some people have gotten legitimate threats, but the majority of it is just it's anonymous internet people. And like that GIF that Donald Trump tweeted out about, like him body slamming CNN, like that was just like people make GIFs and Photoshops all the time. Like the idea that this was like somehow like super dangerous and threatening, like it was a logo, not a specific person. Like the worst that anybody might do, because nobody is really walking around knowing what CNN people look like. Like it's not like people are going to recognize Stelter on the street or see Stelter on the street. Like, I mean, really. But like the worst that would happen is if somebody saw like a CNN logo somewhere. Oh, maybe they'd punch it. Like, oh, like really petty vandalism. But it's still like even that's just, people are just dumb sometimes. But this GIF, there was nothing to it. And like even the people that are on the right side of the aisle that are like trying to talk about how CNN shouldn't have threatened to dox reveal this guy's identity if he pisses them off again in the future. That is definitely wrong. But the people on the right who are normally about free speech are writing about this, acting as if the GIF was horrible and vile. I'm like, you know how many like times my fans Photoshop me into like funny little situations? I love it. I love when people do that. And what was going on around this time? Trump was really being hard on CNN. So that's what it looked like. It looked like, oh yes, he's body slamming CNN. So you make a GIF because you have a GIF from Trump's days doing WWE. You have that. So you just put CNN's logo in there. It's just a silly little GIF. I don't understand the outrage at all. Even Trump tweeting it out. This is what Trump does. This was not a big deal at all. CNN has spent like 4 or 5 days headline news on this, as if Trump was directly telling his supporters to shoot CNN people. So it's like, it was a dumb little GIF, guy, but they're so hurt by it that they went to Reddit to track down the person who made it in order to bully him into apologizing. And I'm like, this is absurd. Like, people make this stuff, but you were so, what's the term I'm going for? Butthurt about this, that you had to go track down the guy who made it, and they claim he apologized before they even reached out to him. But that seems to be very questionable considering Andrew Kaczynski's tweets. It's kind of confusing there. But because he wouldn't just reach out and be like, oh God, CNN, I'm so sorry. I mean, like, reach out to them and apologize. Like, clearly, like, he got wind they were like searching for him or whatever, or they found him, and like then to apologize and then be like, well, he promised to never do it again, so we're not going to reveal his identity, but if that changes, we totally will. And it's just like, are you kidding me? You're journalists, and you're basically like, we're not going to name him, but you know what? If he pisses us off in the future, we will. We'll set all of our viewers out against this guy for making this stupid little funny GIF. It was not in any way threatening or violent. Like, it was a fake violence in WWE. And yet they're like over there so butthurt about it. Like, this is absolutely absurd.
Well, in an ideal world, I don't like any of this, but these are the new rules that they created. They basically, over the last 2 decades, have painted Fox in a way that Satan has been reincarnated onto Earth as Fox News, and Fox has been treated like this for decades. Now CNN is kind of getting a taste of how Fox has been treated by the left, and they don't like it. Well, sorry, these are the new rules, apparently.
Right. Well, because can you also imagine if that GIF had been the Fox News logo under, like Obama doing something, right? Like Trump's head had Obama put on there, and then it was the Fox logo. The left would have freaking loved it. Like, absolutely loved it. And if Fox did all of this stuff, they'd be like, oh my God, what is wrong with you? You can't take a little joke. Like, that's the thing that always gets me, is that, like, if the shoe were on the other foot, the outrage would be nowhere.
So what are you working on now, Ash?
I am still working on a couple of pieces for Real Clear about progressives going after liberals on college campuses, and also a sex assault case out of North Carolina. The charges were dropped against the young man last week. I was down there for the press conference. I'm still working on that article, and I'm sure I'll have some pieces in the Federalist and the Observer starting next week. But I'm still kind of recovering from my 4th of July.
Oh.
I know it was a 1-day holiday, but it was like a 6-day holiday for me, and I have to recover.
Oh, you media elites. Most of us only got 1 day off, but hey, whatever. See how it is. But this North Carolina case, and I won't ask too much about it because I don't know anything about it. But when you have a situation where a man is falsely accused of rape, how difficult is it for someone who is falsely accused to be able to clean up their reputation, especially online?
Oh, incredibly difficult. This kid might be sitting in jail right now if he had not been lucky enough to have an aunt who could pay a massive amount of legal bills for him. He would have had to have accepted a plea if he couldn't afford it. And that's the tragedy, is that it's only if you can afford justice. Because his accuser held a press conference last year with a doctored photograph, making it appear as if she had been, choked and strangled. And if he hadn't had the means to fight back against that, then the public opinion of him down in North Carolina would be that he's some brutal rapist. But he had the means to fight back. His attorney was able to go through discovery and find that this was appears to be a doctored photograph, who has gotten all the information from, the school and the police investigation against him, and knows that there was never any evidence. But all of these different entities were just basically, through their own selfish agendas that had nothing to do with this kid, just kind of came together as a confluence of events and really messed up his life. And if he didn't have the money to afford to defend himself, they would have succeeded. You had a DA who was looking, toward his re-election, stuck in a rock and a hard place. Well, we can't ignore a sexual assault accuser because she'll do a press conference and we'll get in trouble. You had a school doing everything in its power to avoid a lawsuit from this girl, and despite that, still had no evidence to find this guy responsible, but yet they tried in order to avoid any bad publicity from her, which, of course they got. You had this girl, whatever agenda she had, wanting to be famous like other sexual assault accusers. You had her attorney who wanted to be famous from this. Like, it's just all these different agendas, and they had nothing to do with this poor kid.
Well, Ash, I'm a middle-aged white man sitting in my house with, surrounded by white privilege. I'm told by the media that a woman would never lie about rape. How often does this happen on a college campus?
More than you would think, because especially even if you want to believe the often cited claim that it's only 2 to 10% are false, which, by the way, that's 2 to 10 proven false, which, given the difficulties of proving a negative, is awfully low. If you were to look at those same scales where they say this one's false, this one's unfounded, this one we're not sure about, this one is, has gone to trial, this one's led to a conviction. If you were to go using that same scale, you would be able to say that only 2 to 5% are proven true. But of course, that never gets brought up. So what we're looking at here is a situation where you just say nobody lies, and so you don't need any of the protections. Well, that obviously creates incentive to lie in a situation where a lie is not going to be found because everybody just believes someone. At least in the criminal justice system, if you were to believe that only 2 to 10% are actual false, they're still investigating them fully because, these are college campuses. Like, statistics classes are right there. Statistics ultimately mean nothing because you don't know what side this particular case is going to fall on. You don't know if it's going to be in the 2 to 10% or if it's going to be in the 90 to 98%. So you can't treat it as if you know. But, whatever. So you've got the criminal justice system that treats them that way. But you've got a campus justice system that just assumes everybody's telling the truth, and everything they do after that is geared toward that belief. So you have a situation where it's going to be more likely for false accusations because anybody who has a grudge against anybody can come forward and be believed. And it's really dangerous.
Follow Ash on Twitter at AshScow, and again, you can check out her work at the New York Observer, Real Clear Investigations, and The Federalist. Ash, thanks for joining us. We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, talk to you then.
Well, Tracy, I think we've pretty much ran the CNN story into the ground. We only have a few minutes left. What do you want to touch on before we end enough already for this week on Wham 1600 AM?
Well, President Trump has made good on his promise to donate his salary.
Where's it going?
It is going to restore the Antietam National Battlefield, which is located in beautiful Sharpsburg, Maryland.
Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
I've heard some conservatives complain that he shouldn't accept a salary at all, but I think by law he has to accept something, doesn't he?
I believe so, yes.
So it's going to go to a worthy cause. Nothing wrong with that.
No. And you're not going to hear about it anywhere, pretty much.
No. In fact, I don't know how much you're going to hear about it here, to be honest.
Oh, man. Yeah, well, it's his quarter one paycheck. Who knew? I don't know if that means presidents get paid quarterly or this is just an accumulation of things.
Well, what happens is you sign your quarterly check to the IRS.
Yes.
You send it in, and then they take the president's cut and give it to him. That's how it works.
Okay. So his quarterly paycheck amounts to $78,333.32.
Wow.
So it's going to the National Park Service, and it's going to be used for the Antietam battlefield.
Now, if you're a president, say, we'll take Trump out of this because he was a billionaire, or is a billionaire. You're Bill Clinton, and you're putting up with a lot of that crap that he put up with. A lot of it was self-inflicted, but still, the amount of garbage you have to put up with and the amount of pressure that you have go through being president of the United States, and you get a check for, what was it, 78 grand?
78 grand.
I think the only thing that gets you through is knowing that one day you'll be able to start a foundation and become a billionaire.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're looking at that check going, man, I put up with a lot of crap for not much money.
Yeah, right. But it is all gravy. You know, they're not paying housing expenses or travel expenses or food, electric, you know.
Well, they don't have to buy their own groceries.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I learned that a year before the Obamas left. Apparently, the president does have to buy his or her own groceries at the White House. So
it's kind of crappy.
Yeah.
Do they have to fork out all the cash for those state dinners?
Well, no, not a state dinner, obviously.
Oh, then just have one of those every night.
But if you're the president of the United States and it's 2:00 in the morning and you want to go down and make yourself a turkey sandwich, you're paying for that turkey.
Huh.
It's part of the $78,000 right there.
That'll go quick if you have to buy your own turkey. Stuff's expensive.
But again, at least you know, just like these folks on Capitol Hill, you know, oh, I'm not making a lot of money now, but if I could just hang around long enough, I'll get my pension and I'll become a lobbyist. Mm-hmm. That's when you can hop on the gravy train right there.
Yeah, but there must be some gravy going on because some of them stay forever.
Yeah.
And manage to get pretty damn rich.
I mean, you look at Harry Reid's net worth, and you're like, well, how did that happen? Or
no clue.
I mean, what is it about that city that makes people like Orrin Hatch? How old's Orrin Hatch now? He's got to be 900, isn't he?
Mm-hmm. Around there, yeah.
He's talking about running for re-election again.
Of course. What else is he going to do with his life?
There has to be, I mean, there has to come a point when you say enough's enough, but for these people, it doesn't seem to happen.
Mm-mm.
They wheel these guys into the Senate chamber. John McCain will be there until he's 110 if you let him.
Yeah, and he could live that long.
Yeah, his mom's still alive.
Earlier. Yeah.
How old's his mom? 130?
Yes.
Unbelievable. Was cut from good genes.
Unfortunately for us.
Yeah. I bet there's a part of him that thinks he could still run for president.
Oh, I have no doubt about that.
That'd be great. I just can't stay up late watching baseball.
Maybe he can. Who knows? He could be one of those people like Trump who only needs a couple hours sleep. Maybe that's the secret to living into your, past into 3 digits.
My question for you, Tracy, is, these presidents, they live until they're about 135 years old. You got people like John McCain, Orrin Hatch, Robert Byrd. Do these people live until they're 130 because they have such a cush life and they just don't want to live, they don't want to die. They want to hang on because life is so fantastic, or they've done such crappy things in their lives that they're afraid they're going to meet their maker. So they hang on until the bitter end. Somebody's trying to unplug life support and they've got the strength to be able to grab that person's hand and plug the machine back in to stick around a little bit longer. Which is it?
I think it's the latter.
I mean, look at George Herbert Walker Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Former president of the United States, but he ran the CIA, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
He's done some things, man. He's done
Yes,
some
he has.
things.
And he'll be turning 94 next week.
He's probably in the hospital as we speak.
Potentially.
I mean, you get to the point when you're that age where going to the hospital is like getting your oil changed in your car. It's like every 3 months. Gotta go back in. Oh my goodness. What a life.
Mm-hmm.
We got in the wrong business, Tracy.
We did.
Media. Pfft.
Absolutely.
Have you ever been to the Capitol Hill Club?
No, I have not.
I mean, I was there once. I was told I had to buy a suit to go.
Oh.
Yeah.
And you did that?
Well, I figured, what the hell?
Mm-hmm.
Just to say I was there. Just like I went to an event at the National Press Club once.
Uh-huh.
Just to say I, walked into the National Press Club. And then afterwards, I felt like a sucker.
Yep.
All this.
Yeah, it's not that great.
Yeah. But I looked around the National, or the Capitol Hill Club, where deals are made. Where Chuck Schumer's buying drinks for Mitch McConnell and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
And you feel like when you leave, you need to take a shower.
Yeah.
I don't understand how anyone can love that town. What it does to the American people.
Right. I don't know. It's very pretty there.
It is, but it's in a bubble. I mean, right after the market crashed in 2008, I think it was late 2009, the economy was still crap.
Mm-hmm.
I went to D.C. and I'm going around Old Town Alexandria, looking at all the restaurants are full, the shops are full. I'm thinking, my God, you would not know what's going on in the rest of the country by walking through Old Town Alexandria.
Nope. No, their gravy train doesn't stop.
No. Our gravy train is stopping right now, though, Tracy.
Oh.
Because it's time to say goodbye. Where can everyone find Enough Already on the internet?
You can subscribe to the 2 podcasts on iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn, Stitcher, and SoundCloud. You can also find us on Facebook at Facebook.com/Enough Already Podcast. And if you forget all of that, you can just go directly to enoughalready.us and find everything about the show there.
Follow Tracy on Twitter at Tracy L. Connors. Follow me on Twitter at Fingers Malloy. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week on Wham 1600 AM with another Enough Already.